Alinghi strikes back in St. Petersburg. Toulon, the America's Cup preview. Kite Freestyle World Cup in Germany. And now in the newsroom, here's Jerome Alinghi. NC Sports, plunge into the action.
Welcome back for the latest NC Sports edition. This is Jerome Alinghi, and it has been another busy week here at your Water Sports Central. So let's go right to the lineup with multiple events happening worldwide. Foiling cats take center stage. Psarofaghis defeats Larson as Team Alinghi takes Act 5 in Russia and edges in on Oman Air at the Extreme Sailing Series. The America's Cup World Series moves to France. Jack Griffin joins the newsroom for the preview and the forecast. In the briefs, Sami Selio celebrates his first F1H2O victory at the Harbin GP, while Chiappe holds on to the championship lead. World Cup Canoe Slalom back in the water in Prague. And Marathon Swimming Classic for the Capri-Napoli. Kite Freestylers take on the Fehrman World Cup. Plus, top ongoing events on NC Sports 360 and lots more. It's pretty clear now that with just 3 events left in 2016, the Extreme Sailing Series has become a direct duel between Oman Air and Alinghi. Act 5 in St. Petersburg was no exception, and this time the Swiss got the upper hand.
Act 5 of the 2016 Extreme Sailing Series came to a thrilling conclusion in St. Petersburg, with Team Alinghi capturing their second win of the season in a nail-biting final showdown with series leaders and arch rivals Oman Air. Alinghi, led by 27-year-old Swiss sailor Arnaud Psarofaghis, headed into the final day of racing in pole position with only a slight advantage. Morgan Larson and his crew put up a spectacular fight, but in the end, the Swiss crew triumphed. The win puts Alinghi in the number 2 spot on the overall leaderboard with 53 points, just 5 points behind Oman Air and 1 ahead of Red Bull Sailing, who nabbed the final spot of the podium after an intense battle with Sept, finishing 4th. Home waters and large crowds along the banks of the Neva weren't enough to propel Gazprom Team Russia past a 6th place finish or out of last place overall. The series now moves to Portugal for rounds 6 and 7 before the grand finale in Australia in December.
And joining us now in the newsroom to comment on the foiling cats is Jack Griffin, editor of CupExperience.com. Hello, Jack, and welcome back on NC Sports. So quite a rivalry going on between Psarofaghis and Larson.
It came down to the last race in St. Petersburg. They were on even points. The wind had died, and so there was the risk of not even having the last race. Morgan Larson would have won with Oman Air from having the better result in the last race, but they got to pull off a final race. Psarofaghis with Alinghi got a great start and never looked back. He led the race wire to wire, took the regatta, and just looked really, really great out there. They sailed really well.
Now it looks like we got a 2-tier fight in the podium with Alinghi and Oman Air going for the first place, and Red Bull and Sept Extreme working for the last spot on the podium. But anything can change. We got 3 events to go.
Yeah, well, don't count out Roman Hagara with Red Bull. I mean, the old Austrian gold medalist from the Tornado is a very, very sly fox, and he's going to be fighting all the way to the finish. So it really, really will be exciting. But, you know, it's just great to see the team from Alinghi. To me, you know, I'm an Alinghi alumnus. I worked with the America's Cup team. And to see Nils Fry and and Yves Detrey on board there with Arno Psarofaghis, the young Swiss helmsman. Arno came up from, the Moths and sailing on Lake Geneva, and he's doing really well in these foiling catamarans. There's the nucleus of, dare I say it, an Alinghi America's Cup team in the future.
We're all looking forward to that, Jack. Let's listen into what Arnaud and Morgan had to say. Then we'll be right back to talk some ACWS.
We own it as a team because the team is really strong and really good. The short team and the sailing team. So it's kind of all together. We really start to know each other well, and we just get better and better each race. Even if we do mistake, we just learn from that, and on the next one we just come stronger.
Fortunately, there was a little bit of shipping traffic that came through and disrupted the race, but at least our race, Alinghi executed a great start, and they had the extra little speed and got ahead of us and didn't look back. So, handed to those guys for a great performance. And we feel like we sailed really well today. And if we can keep sailing like we did today, we know we'll come out on top the next time.
Well, Jack, from St. Petersburg, let's foil all the way to Toulon, because French fans are getting a great America's Cup weekend with the World Series moving to the Med. First off, the foiling tack. Everyone's talking about it. You've analyzed it in detail on your cupexperience.com. Let's explain once again what it's all about.
Foiling tack. What does that mean? It means you're going to go through a complete tack without either hull of the boat touching down into the water. The Moth sailors have been doing that already for a while, and Chris Draper, the wing trimmer from SoftBank Team Japan, he's compared it with sailing in the Moth, where it really opens up the race course tactically. You can tack on a shift more easily than you normally would in a catamaran, because of course in a catamaran, if you're in displacement mode and you tack, you're going to be really slow going through that tack. Whereas if you can pull off a foiling tack, it gives you a tactical advantage and it gives you a speed advantage. Really exciting stuff.
Okay, that's very interesting, Jack, because of course that was supposed to be the big drawback of these multi-hulls, the lesser agility on the tacks and on the jibes. But assuming that everyone will learn, this is still going to be a big game changer while they're at it.
Everyone will learn to do foiling tacks, all 6 teams. The question is, who's going to be able to do them consistently enough to get around the race course, or when the conditions are marginal, getting up and staying up on the foils is going to make all the difference. So that's going to have to do with the control systems that they have. It's going to have to do with the stability of the shape of the foils. More stability, more drag, harder to get up and foil. Less stability, less drag, more speed, but more of a chance of crashing down off of the foils. A lot of variables. The racing next spring in Bermuda is going to be fascinating.
And of course, well, it's time to ask Jack. We did this on the last act. Just a couple of events left in the World Series for 2016. Straight up, Toulon. Who's going to win?
Okay, first, Ben Ainslie Racing. Second, Emirates Team New Zealand. Third, I want to say Team France, but I got to say Oracle Team USA. Why? Okay, Ben Ainslie Racing has really been on a roll. They won in Portsmouth, and they are at the top of the leaderboard. Why Team New Zealand number 2? Well, they've got Pete Burling back. He's just taken his gold medal in the 49er. He is a tough helmsman to beat. So I pick him for silver. Oracle Team USA is going to be without Jimmy Spithill. They will have Tom Slingsby on the helm. I would really love to see Team France on the podium in front of the home crowd. I love that team. They're one of the real sweetheart teams in this thing, the team with the lowest budget, but I just don't think they're going to get past the big 3. Ben Ainslie Racing, Team New Zealand, Oracle Team USA. There's my pick.
All right, Jack. Well, of course, we'll hook up with you next week to see if you got it right. You usually do, most of it at least. And thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Hey, always a pleasure, Gerald. Look forward to talking to you next week. And unless I get it all screwed up and have that all wrong, then I'll be nowhere to be seen.
Well, thank you. I'm sure we'll track you down. First F1H2O win for Finland's Sami Selio in China. Prague hosts Canoe Slalom World Cup. And marathon swimmers take on the Capri-Napoli. Let's check out today's NC Sports Briefs.
Finland's Sami Selio was the fastest man on the water in the fourth round of the 2016 UIM F1H2O Harbin GP in China. The Baba Racing Team driver's win moves him up to fourth place overall. Sweden's Jonas Andersson took the number 2 spot for his first podium finish of the season, followed by series leaders Philip Chiappe and Sean Torrente in third and fourth place respectively. Alex Carolla of Team Abu Dhabi dropped to third on the leaderboard after a collision on lap 24 with Selio's teammate Philip Roms knocked him out of the competition. The championship remains in China for round 5 in Liuzhou from October 1st to 3rd, before heading back to the UAE and the final 2 stops of the season.
Ricarda Funk surprised all, including herself, by winning the women's K1 ICF Slalom World Cup in Prague last Sunday. Stacking 3 penalties in the final, the German made up for the gap and still had a 2-second advantage on pursuers Ana Satila of Brazil and Croatian Eva Terceli. In men's C2 Olympic gold medalists Peter and Ladislav Skančar of Slovakia ran a clear final for the win, ahead of Germany's Thomas Becker with Robert Behling in second, while local favorites Jakub Jane and Andrei Karlovsky secured the last spot on the podium.
The 51st edition of the Classic Open Water Swimming Marathon from Capri-Napoli came to a close with Macedonian Evgeny Papasev and Argentinian Pilar Gejo posting the fastest times in the men's and women's camps. Both came in under the 7-hour mark. The 20 nautical mile crossing of the Gulf of Napoli marked the final leg of the FINA Grand Prix Series and reconfirmed Papasev and Gejo as champs for the 2nd year in a row. Argentinian Damien Blaum and Bertrand Venturi of France rounded out the men's podium, while Russia's Olga Kozidub and Italian Ilaria Raimondi took the 2nd and 3rd spots in the women's division.
And when we come back, Kite Freestylers put on the air show in Germany. Garrett McNamara and the essence of big wave surfing is coming to Nautical Channel. Plus, NC Sports 360 with top ongoing events. We're back on NC Sports. Kite Freestylers met on the tiny island of Fehrman in the Baltic Sea last weekend for the Kitesurf World Cup, Germany. Now in its 10th year, this has become one of the top kite events in the world, with thousands of fans attending. Let's check out the results. Brazil's Bruna Kaja dazzled the crowds and convinced the judges last weekend on Fehrman as organizers battled with tricky forecasts and last-minute race calls. Unfortunately, winds were extremely uncooperative at this Freestyle World Cup event, now under the banner of the new World Kiteboarding League. The ladies got lucky with just hours left in the competition, as a sudden massive conditions enabled a super final heat between Kaja, Whiteley, Van Westerop, and Novotna.
I'm so happy to have one here in Germany. we've been waiting for so long for wind, and all of that energy builds up, and then finally at the end of the event, almost when it's over, we have this amazing wind. And wow, I did my best. Like, I had all this like energy and motivation within me. So when I was out there, I tried to show the best that I had. And I'm very, very, very happy. All smiles today.
Oh, a crazy event. We thought there was going to be no wind and no result, but it just got really exciting at the last minute. Like, we were just all about to pack up, kites up and leave the event site, and it was just like, I don't know, some wind gods were listening to us or something, because the magic happened, the wind came, and I'm stoked we got to run the women's final, and I'm really happy with the result, and congrats to the other girls.
The men's Fehrman World Cup Germany instead took a different turn. In spite of a compacted racing format, the wind died again at the semi-final stage, and voiding all results. Of the 24 starting riders, 12 made it to the final stages.
Kind of a result, not what we wanted. You know, we've been here for 10 days, but the organization of the event was great. Everything went pretty well except for the wind, and at the end of the day, that's quite important. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the next event in Egypt, and yeah, stoked.
After 2 events, including Cabarete last month, Brazil is dominating the series, with both Carlos Mario and Bruna Kaja leading this 2016 Kiteboarding World Cup for freestylers.
It's really, really high level. With the new format as well, it's really pushing the 4 best tricks, and everyone has a lot of good tricks all the time. So, I mean, it's hard to say for me, like Bebe, Liam, Alex, Yuri, I mean, the list goes on, and you know, there's a lot of new guys coming up, a lot of the older guys who have been around for a while, so this mixture is always going to make for a really good final.
Surf's up in California. Isn't it always? WSL women and men pros are already on the break at Trestles. Pembrokeshire in Wales is hosting Stop 6 of the Cliff Diving World Series, and the Maxis battle it out on Sardinia's Costa Smeralda. It's all coming up next on the NC Sports 360. The pro surfing circus has moved to California for the WSL Hurley Pro at Trestles, and with just 4 events left in the season, fireworks are in order. In the women's camp, a highly determined Tyler Wright is now wearing the yellow jersey, but Courtney Conlog is almost tied on points. Not far in third, Carissa Ward could change all of that. On the men's tour, JJ Florence has dethroned Matt Wilkinson to second place, and Gabriel Medina has also split from the pack. Pursuers will have to do wonders to catch these 3 now. Drawing unprecedented crowds worldwide, the Cliff Diving World Series is taking on Pembrokeshire, Wales. All eyes are on British reigning world champ Gary Hunt upon his return to the Blue Lagoon, a circular-shaped former slate quarry. Hunt is leading the 2016 season with a narrow 80-point lead on Mexico's Jonathan Paredes, while American Andy Jones and Orlando Duque of Colombia are fighting for the 3rd spot. New faces in the ladies' series, and the chase is still on for Australia Rihanna Ifland, a surprising wildcard turned leader. It now sits in first ahead of Canada's Lisanne Richard and fellow Aussie Helena Merten. Majestic and powerful, the Maxi Rolex Cup fleet is now racing in Sardinia under strong 18 to 20 knot gusts. 23 yachts in 8 different classes are taking part at the yearly Italian Classic held by the yacht club Costa Smeralda, and with some old foxes and America's Cup veterans on board doing the tactics. Guys like Thierry Peponet, Tommaso Chieffi, and Terry Hutchinson. Conditions permitting, in Portocervo, the regatta is expected to conclude on the weekend. Now for all of you surf fans out there, or if you're just becoming one, this Monday, September 12 at 21, the exclusive NC Sports special, Garrett McNamara and the Essence of Big Wave Surfing. A unique half-hour presentation with none other than the G-Mac, a true legend of Big Wave. Let's take a sneak peek.
Fortunate, my mother forced my brother and I to move to Hawaii when I was 11, and we didn't have much. My mom was on welfare, government assistance, signal mom with 2 boys, but she got us aboard and we got out there, and that was it. We fell in love from day one. Yeah, I bounced like it looked like I was a dolphin porpoising out of the water, and it was the initial impact that broke my shoulder, my humerus head, into 9 pieces. Shattered my head, 9 pieces. Shaft broke off the head, piece number 10 lodged itself in my pec for 24 hours. It's all about activating them young. It's all about education. The children, the youth, they're the future. We got to get them interested in. Get them off their iPad, get them off their iPhone, get them out in the nature. If the conditions are right, there's really no limits of what size wave can be ridden, but you just have to have nice light offshore winds and giant swell. We haven't surfed a wave too big yet, so I can't wait.
And as you've seen, Nautical Channel subscribers are always in the thick of the action, and you can be there too. Join the current by connecting with us on Facebook, Twitter, and other major social networks. Meanwhile, the RC44 take on the Kite Classic, a Korean debut for the X-Cat World Series, and the Imoca 60 face their last test before the big one at the Défi Azimut in France's Lorient. Mark the dates, it's all coming up next on the NC Sports calendar.
Round 4 of the RCC Championship Tour gets underway in Cascais, Portugal from September 21st to 25th. Heading into the last stop before the final in Malta in November, Great Britain's Team Aqua leads the series with 9 points. But with number 2 challenger Team Serif trailing by only 2 points and Peninsula Petroleum with Team Nika by just 1 more, the race for the title remains wide open. Powerboating action heads to Seoul, Korea for the 4th leg of the 2016 X-Cat World Series from September 23rd to 25th. After 3 rounds and as many wins, Team Victory, led by dynamic duo Bin Hendy and Al Zafain, dominate the series with 129 points, compared to runner-up Gold Coast Australia's 79 and third-place challenger Sweet Cat Racing's 71. The 6th edition of the Défi Azimut IMOCA returns to southern Brittany from September 23rd to 25th. The creme de la creme of offshore racing will hit the seas of Lorient for some friendly competition and a final chance to test their wares ahead of the legendary Vendée Globe, which kicks off from Les Sables d'Olonne on November 6th.
That is all for today, but we'll be back next week with all the recaps, the insight, and the analysis from top events around the world. Meanwhile, we'll leave you with this special preview clip just in from 2 very different records, a big one and a small one, Comanche versus Feel Good. We'll have that story in our next edition. This is Jerome Alinghi, and remember, plunge into the action with NC Sports.